everyone. Welcome to the monthly meeting of East Montgomery County Improvement District's Board of Directors meetings. Today is Tuesday, June the 20th. We always begin with prayer and the pledge. If you will please stand, I'm going to ask David Leno to lead us in prayer. And I would like to ask the Girl Scout troops if y'all would come forward and lead us in the pledges, please.
Wherever you're comfortable.
Let's pray together. Our Father, we thank you again for the opportunity to be able to be here because of our health, the clarity of our minds, and your grace. We do pray for your wisdom to be upon our leaders that you've elected to the board, that you give them discernment. Thank you for their love for our community. And we pray, Father, that you would guide their footsteps, with them not knowing what the future is, but you do. You would guide their decisions, their footsteps, the attitude of their hearts to be a blessing to us for years and years to come. And we commit them to you through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We're going to, normally we have the anybody who has signed up to address the board, and we do have someone signed up to address the board, but before we do that, we have some checks that we would like to present for the community grants that were just recently awarded this past month. So if the recipients will meet us over at the board, and we will announce the recipient and the amount of the grant that we are providing them with. Thank you. Okay, the next item will be hearing from comments from the members of our audience. And signed up today is Lee Bowles with Total Loving Care.
Hi everyone,
Would you come up here to the podium, and if you'll look and see if there's a green light on the microphone, if not,
it is.
Okay, perfect.
I asked Lee just to come up and introduce herself. She has a project for us to look at probably in a couple of months for a new senior living center in our area. Certainly something that's very well needed. So just wanted her to say hello and introduce herself to you all this evening so you at least know who she is when we're talking about her, okay?
Thank you.
Would you like to talk about your project just a little bit?
Yeah, we have assisted living homes. We have Alzheimer's certified facilities in, it's right here in New Caney. It's off of Johnson Road. We've been operating now 15 years. I'm a registered nurse, and now we're going to open up a skilled nursing facility, and it'll be right there in Splendora. And so that's the next project that we're working on. Thank y'all for giving me the time to share.
Thank you for your service. Nurses are so underappreciated and so unpaid, and we appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is going to be to approve the minutes of the directors' meeting held on May 11th. So we need a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, I've got a motion by Director Rogers and a second by Director Retz. Is there any discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. One abstention. Sure. We're going to go out of order once again, and we're going to skip to item number 8 on our agenda, which is awarding of an economic development grant to Jacques Laurent, DBA Rocky Horse Daycare, and another one to Speed Sports Racing Park at Grand Texas.
So what you have on your agenda this evening is, many of y'all are familiar with Rocky Horse Daycare. If you're not, I don't know where you've been, but they've been in our community a long time. So as they grow and expand, we had a request for some additional signage at their location on the 1314 site. You know, the sign that sits out front, even I look at it, it does have quite a bit of information regarding their business, but also about a lot of stuff that's going on with the school district. So we received a request for economic development incentive grant from Rocky Horse Daycare. And what we propose to do is provide $15,000 toward the installation of a new sign. And then over the next year that they would hire 4 positions from within our district for individuals that reside within our district to work at one of their facilities in the future.
So we would need a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion.
I've got a motion by Director Hudson and a second by Director Martin. Is there any discussion?
I just want to add the great stuff they do in this community, donating stuff to the kids, bikes to the schools, and they've done a tremendous amount of sponsoring our kids from our communities through the years, so I appreciate that.
How many children do you think y'all have raised?
More than we
Hundreds?
can.
Hundreds?
Thousands,
Thousands?
probably 10,000.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all for what you do. It's not an easy thing.
We're the oldest company in East Montgomery County. This is 46 years old.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, if there's no further discussion, any other comments? All in favor of approving the grant? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next one is for speed sports.
Item B on your agenda, you got Speed Sports Racing Park at, it says Grant, Texas. We all know it's Grant, Texas. Once again, this is for signage for their facility, and that was we just provided a economic development loan from them, from the Economic Development Corporation last month, and as part of that, we provided some incentive funds, and this is for the approval for $18,000, and they'll hire 2 additional positions over the next year. And then with that, that will allow them to get their signage permanently put in place for the facility for the Speed Sports Race Park.
So we would need a motion to approve that $18,000 grant. I heard a motion by Director Wetz, a second by Director Rogers. Any discussion?
How many people are they hiring?
2 positions over the next year from within our district.
This gonna be the sign out?
Correct.
Will they get the billboard now?
No, that's the signage that you see on 242. They're looking for some signage to put on Speed Sports Parkway, the road that goes kind of behind the facility. So they're looking for some additional signage in that area. So.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving the grant? And that's unanimous also, thank you. Okay. The next item is a presentation by Creed Development relating to Gigabit City. REIT, is that a word or is that just a word? Should have asked. It's a word, REIT? REIT, okay, got it right, thank you. REIT business model, if y'all would come up to the podium, please. Welcome.
Mr. President, thank you for having me. Frank, thank you for allowing us to come.
You bet.
Thank you for introducing us as we met with you a couple of weeks ago. And thank you, Scott Hessen, who played a role in doing that and putting this together. Let me tell you just a little bit about Creed Development, and then we're going to go pretty quickly to our host presenter. We are a real estate company. We do real estate development across the state in different parts of the country, but we're also investors. And we have had the ability to partner with iWire 365 here in the past few months to come up with a process for data, for fiber, and for upgrading broadband. As you know, we're in state legislation this time. We come up with a special session starting here real soon. Broadband has been a key component of the discussion with the governor's office. The governor's office has mandated that he would like to see all Texas have broadband coverage, even in rural areas. And there's some areas that do not have coverage. That's what we're going to present to you tonight. And that's what you're going to see we're doing in other parts of the state, with other counties, with other COGs, with other cities, so on and so forth. So with that, my name is Gary Houston. I'm Vice President of Creed Development Company. I live in Tyler, Texas. My partner, who's president of our company, is Ben Sims. He lives here in Houston, and he's going to say a few words and introduce our next speaker.
Thank you.
like Gary said, we really appreciate your time, really appreciate hearing what we have to bring. We started off with our partnership with IOR 365 back late last year. And it goes back to what Gary's saying. It's the underserved communities. You go back in the broadband sector, there's a lot of fiber in the ground to date throughout Texas, but it's unutilized. Some of it's completely dark. And we've taken it to the next step, and we firmly believe on, we don't provide, we are a development services company, but it's more about why we're doing things. And the presentation, we have it in email form, and we can pull it up tonight. There's a couple of hard copies, but it goes down to what we believe. Our partnership by the RED, it's Real Estate Investment Trust, it's basically, it's bringing private equity to help out with public needs. In many cases, whether it's economic development corporations or cities, they're growing at a rapid pace, and all of the money that they have is tied down with police stations and new fire stations and paying those personnel to be in those facilities. They don't have the money within some of the districts that we're working with right now at a local and regional level to get the communication. There's some areas throughout the counties in Texas that it takes some of the police officers 12 miles to drive from where they've been called to a point where they can have connectivity, and sometimes it's only with their personal cell phone. Their radios aren't working. So William, our partner's going to present it, but we believe that we can blanket the broadband technology across the great state of Texas. We can enable the exchange of information in many different forms that are vital to the delivery of services and public safety, utility automation, business, education, health, government, and for the overall quality of life for that of its residents. So we're working at the county levels and city levels and all the way up to the council of government levels. We're working with EMCID, just Council of Governments right now, which is just north of you guys. It's 12 counties. And we're pulling that at a regional level together with the same model, the Real Estate Investment Trust. But it goes to the point where we can be in control of our destiny and when it relates to the technology, data storage, but we're trying to get it to a point where it can be controlled at a local level. And it's not another large company coming in for their own use. Some of the largest projects in Texas this year is your Googles, your Amazon, your Facebook coming to Texas to put in data centers. What we're going to present to you is taking the data center at a local and regional level to help out industry, economic development, incentives, and expand that communication. So would like to introduce William Haddle. He's our partner with IOR 365.
I'm sorry, what was his last name? William?
Haddle.
Haddle. Thank you.
Hadal.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, thank you very much. Broadband, everyone has it, everyone wants it, no one can do without it. Across the United States, we've got a problem with broadband. There's a lack of it in rural and underserved communities. Even here in Houston, in this growth area that you see, I'm sure most of y'all have portable internet experiences at home. If you do, if you don't, great, we'll move on to another county. But the reason for that is the major telecommunication carriers, they're not investing in these rural and underserved areas. The reason they're not investing in these areas is because they don't see that there's enough of these. But I'm sure all of y'all at your house, and I'm an LA boy that married a Dallas girl, so I listen to myself say y'all, but all y'all, I'm sure at your house, have more than one device that requires the internet. Before it was just maybe your laptop and your phone, but now we have smart television sets that need to stream video, or you have thermostats or iPads. The demand is growing. But the demands are also growing from a critical infrastructure perspective. More and more law enforcement, which we're here in the room today, and thank you for your service, I'm sure there's others that have served here as well, is that more and more law enforcement agencies are using things like video. video in the cars, videos on their bodies, video throughout the city. If you look at the city of Victoria, you look at the drug routes that are coming up from Mexico, the human trafficking routes. If you get through Victoria with these type of shipments, you pretty much make it to the rest of the U.S. So how do we put systems in place that we can track vehicles, not from a big brother perspective, but systems that public safety need to use? Whether you know this or not, the United States government pushed forward a program about 5 years ago called FirstNet. FirstNet is a public safety broadband network. It's got to be built across 99.999% of the entire United States. The whole idea of FirstNet was on September 11, 2001, many of our law enforcement agencies perished in that event because of basic communications. Fire, police, county could not communicate with each other. So the United States government, for better or for worse, made a decision that we need interoperable public safety communications. Now, why am I telling you all this about public safety? Well, you're a MUD, you're a county, a seat of authority. But on the same note, when I worked for the major telecommunication providers, my goal was to provide broadband in rural communities. And you can do it. In a way, you're able to bring broadband to rural communities by having two primary anchor tenants, meaning two different users of a broadband network, whether it be fiber or wireless. That's your utilities. How many of you have a smart meter on your house? That requires connectivity back and forward. Those substations that make our lights turn on, those require internet connectivity to work. We call that automation. And public safety, officers, communications. If you can get those two primary tenants broadband that they can use, all that extra capacity, as we call it, can be provided to the end users. And I'm sure all of you got excited when Google Fiber decided we're going to build Google Fiber to the Home projects across the US. If you weren't one of the cities or counties, I think there was close to 1,000 people that applied to be part of the Google program, and less than 10 were selected. The problem with the Google Fiber and why they've laid off half their staff is because they didn't go after the critical infrastructure for broadband. They went after the end user, multi-dwelling units, apartment complex, the residents. Had they used a model that went after the critical infrastructure users, and by the way, there's going to be 40 billion devices by 2030, 40 billion devices by 2030 that are going to require the internet. We call that the Internet of Things. So when you look in your county, you start seeing all these things that need to be connected, from transportation systems to healthcare systems. What are you going to do in 2 years when all of a sudden they don't print textbooks for your kids at school? 2 years. You need to get the connectivity to the school so that people can take in the content digitally. At the same time, your greatest challenge as an economic development corporation is retaining and attracting businesses. I'm from Dallas, so we drove down here today, a couple other partners here, Tyler and from Austin. But when my business, and I successfully proved out this business model over the last 7 years, 182% growth year after year after year, doing exactly what I'm talking about. But when my business grew, I wanted a bigger location. I wanted a small data center in the back. I needed a warehouse. And when I was actually in where I live in Rowlett at the time, I wanted to move my company to where I live. But guess what? There wasn't any broadband. So I had to move my company to Richardson because I could get broadband there, and there wasn't broadband here. So as an economic development corporation, your greatest challenge is retaining and attracting businesses and individuals to your communities. Now, one of our clients, which you may have heard about, that's getting a lot of press right now, is the city of Salina. City of Salina is North Dallas, right next to Frisco. Everyone knows the success of Frisco. Well, Salina is going from a population of about 12,000 today to 350,000 people in 20 years. But guess what? Their city is only 8% built out. Why am I telling you this? They, as an economic development corporation in the city, made a declaration that they were going to become a gigabit city. Every business, every home, every rooftop would receive fiber, and you would get 1 gigabit speeds up, and you get 1 gigabit speeds down. Gigabits. You say to yourself, what's a gigabit? That's, I get 10 gigs, 100. Think about this. Think about when you're at home and you try to stream Netflix. One stream. And you maybe have kids somewhere in the other part of the house, or you're trying to do your email. All of a sudden, that streaming says buffering, buffering, buffering. Imagine a world where you could stream 206 Netflix movies simultaneously in your house at once. That's not a pipe dream. That's a reality in places across the country. In cities like Salina and potentially Montgomery County, where you're seeing this explosive growth, you are in a position to actually dictate. And I love what you said, Lieutenant Colonel, in your introduction here, where you said, this is where you force your enemy into actions into which you can prepare for, taking advantage of the advanced knowledge of how they will respond to your actions. You do this so you can lead the battle. And what you were referring to here is from an economic development perspective. When I choose to live anywhere in the state, or if I choose to live anywhere in the country, being a technologist, a high school graduate that never finished high school, like many technologists, you have people like Steve right here that live in Austin. Did you know, I think it's like 60% of the tech businesses in Austin live in Bastrop? But the problem is they don't have broadband. So they can't work from home. So how are you going to attract people like me and actually bring up the future generation if you don't have broadband? So you say to yourself, well, what does that mean for me? What are you looking for, William? Well, most of the companies that are out there that sort of do what we do, they'll come in and do consulting, and they'll say, oh, you need to do a feasibility study. You need to bring fiber across your entire city. We'll do this feasibility study, and we'll charge you hundreds of thousands of dollars to only tell you, yes, it is feasible to do this. You are in a position right now with a company like iWire, who became part of a private equity group, and Crete, that's looking to spend anywhere from $250 million to $500 million a year in building this infrastructure in your backyard. The beautiful part about this is that we live in a world of capitalism, and if I'm building infrastructure from a telecommunication perspective, why am I sitting here presenting to you when I don't need anything from you? AT&T, Verizon, Frontier, they can all build this infrastructure in your backyard, and they would never present this to you. But you know what? They build it where they think the greatest desire is going to be through the need. And guess what? They take the profits out of your community. And you never see an economic benefit here. But rather, how do we create a partnership where we use all of our private equity, but we say to you, where do you believe your greatest need for broadband is going to be from an economic development perspective, looking at your key companies in your backyard, looking at public safety, looking at the utilities, looking at the school districts, and figuring out those are users on the network. So if we're going to build a fiber network, and I put up a map up here, it's hard to see on this map, the red. These are red, you see these red lines right here. If I can turn off those red lines. Let's see, turn off those red lines. Anyways, these, yeah, there we go. What these, I turned it off. The colors are electric co-ops, and the red is fiber optics. Well, when we start zooming in on your part of the world, one of our major clients is the Deep East Texas Council of Governments. 12 counties, 46 cities. And their desire is to build a fiber optic network and a data center in Lufkin that connects fiber to all the public safety agencies. So when I turn this little layer off here, you'll see the network. Turn it back on, turn it off. When we build a network, we look at where are the users going to be in the backyard that we need to build a fiber network to. But we just don't take the most direct route. We also look at if it's public safety, where are the school districts, where are the county offices, where are the city's offices, where are the substations. And we bring all those entities together and said, if in a perfect world you could have broadband with fiber assets, would you be willing to be a user of that network? And 9 times out of 10, they say yes. So the Deep East Texas Council of Government Network basically spans this area. And believe it or not, in Texas and maybe in the United States, with the exception, I think, of West Virginia, this region of the state is the most underserved broadband community in the United States. No joke. And this problem has been there for a very long time. We just figured out a creative way to build out a network. But here's why I'm showing this, besides telling you who and what we're doing in your backyard. When you start looking at Midland, you're on the southern boundaries of a network like this, that potentially we have the ability to build this out. Now, from an economic development perspective, what does this mean for you? Well, with the city of Salina, the city of Sulphur Springs, and others, we put you in a position of ownership of this network that we would build out. Think about the conversations that must have happened 100 years ago when we were using kerosene lights and oil, and somebody said, I'm gonna put in electricity. Well, why do we need electricity? I'm fine sitting by a candle or read the book by night. Or when they put in water. Why do you want water to your home or a toilet? That's a luxury. We are getting to a point in time that broadband and fiber will be considered a utility. Do you want that infrastructure to be owned by another carrier? Or do you want that infrastructure to be owned by your local communities? So in the case of Salina, together we're looking at where does all this fiber need to be built out? In the case of Salina, just to pull this up right here, we're in the process of finishing the engineering on an 86-mile backhaul network. Backhaul is kind of like an interstate highway system. I could put fiber between me and you, or me and you, but if it's not connected to the internet, what good is it? So we're putting in an 86-mile ring with the city of Salina that connects it to the rest of the world. We are making the investment on that. But we also help the Economic Development Corporation. This is very similar to you because you've got all this growth that's about to happen. We actually passed an ordinance by a city that made it a requirement that every home builder and every developer has to put fiber from the home to the curb, down the streets, and interconnect with that backhaul network. We built the backhaul network similar to building a highway system. That fiber route goes by every major development that's going to be built in the next 20 years. By the ordinance, the city required the builders and home developers to put the fiber from the curb to this backhaul at their own dollar to be handed over to the city, to the Economic Development Corporation. Everything that I'm telling you has gotten comment from the Attorney General, the Texas Economic Development Corporation. This is not like we want to do it, this is happening right now. Because the Economic Development Corporation saw the vision of being a gigabit city and will be the owner of the last mile network because of this ordinance, they contribute the last mile, we contribute the backhaul network, and together we offer those assets as what we call dark fiber, an open access network. What does that mean? In today's world, your AT&Ts and your Frontiers are providing you connectivity, internet, on a system they own. On an open access network, we invite all the competition to use that network. And they pay us to use those dark fibers without ever them having to invest to put the money in the ground. And it's an amazing model. In Salina alone, over 20 years, it's a $1.9 billion market for internet at $100 a month per resident. The revenue share is 30% of the net revenue minus any hard costs right back to the EDC to do whatever you want to do with it. We've got a beautiful football stadium. Salina is the most winningest football team in the state of Texas. They want a new football stadium. The point being is we are in a position here to say we want to make an investment into your community. We are willing to do all the pre-engineering at our own costs within a 30 to 60 day period to figure out how much is this going to cost, but put you guys into a position that you could be the leaders of bringing this type of amazing broadband infrastructure to your businesses and residents in your backyard. I think I did that less than the 30 minutes I was allocated.
Pretty good. Yes.
Good, that's all we do? Okay. Ethan? Good, okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
The next steps to this would be threefold. We'd be more than happy to come back, have a sit-down session. It can be open or closed. We typically like to talk about how this potentially works. The city of Salina did a declaration as a city saying, yes, we're going to become a gigabit city. Then we worked through an LOI of how the two work together. And then from there, it was just a matter of putting the private equity into place. And that revenue share is in perpetuity with the city. So this is a 6-month endeavor going forward, more than just tonight. Yes, sir.
You should. How much up and down?
1 gigabit, up and down.
Max, both ways.
Minimum speeds. We're now starting to see 10 gig cities, so we're making it a requirement that when the carrier leases the use of that fiber, so for every dollar the carrier makes using our network, you get between 20 to 30 cents of that dollar. But the requirement is that they use our network and they put their electronics on it, which is what dictates the speed. It has to be a minimum of 1 gig up and down, but we're going to probably see 2, 3, because now 10 gig is becoming the normal. And you say, why do you need that much speed? There's something called 3D video conferencing. Write it down and go home and look at it tonight. You all could be sitting right here in your home somewhere else, and to us in the audience, we would not even know that you weren't here. And so when you start seeing the video conferencing taking come from medical and so forth, we're seeing those that are going to become the requirements in the future.
Sometimes we're not here without the technology. real quick question. So we have a terabyte pipeline through up to Liberty County. Most of the school districts through Phonoscope or whoever have a 1T line. The challenge that we have is our businesses, I think, in Splendor, because I know we had a pipeline issue over there at Rockin' Horse. And then on your map up there, our biggest challenge is between those green and yellow lines. it's a density issue. So how do you address that?
So we've gotten that down with science. We know that on average we can do it per pass per home at about $1,550. The way we did it for Salina is through their water bill. Since they're a city that owns the water municipality, we did a survey. Mm-hmm. And so what we did is we surveyed the entire their entire member base, and what we got back was like I want to call it a 40%, somewhere right around that response rate. But I think it was well over 90-something% that said that they weren't satisfied with their speeds. They'd be willing to sign a long-term contract, and they'd be willing to go into a 3 to 5 year. So we do a lot of surveying when we do that. But again, we're looking at this from a business as a commercial versus residential. So what we try to do is hit those businesses first that will be the uptakers of that, and then doing it down to science. Now, it's similar to when water first got put in your neighborhoods. Not everyone probably wanted water. We see that with natural gas out in the country. But if you put the natural gas or fiber down the roadways where you know that an end user will sign up one day or may not, don't spend the money doing the last mile from the curb to the home. Just as people sign up, then you pigtail it in, whether it be underground or aerial. And part of this too is that it's not a big generator, jobs what I'm about to tell you, but part of this is building out like a 40 to 50,000 square foot data center that will have capacity for all those anchor tenants here as well. But the way we address that end user is exactly what I said. What you'll find is that not everyone will be able to afford internet. On the underserved side, there's a way to provide, they do this in Kansas City, it's called Connecting for the Good. You may want to write that down. They brought all that Google fiber through the city, and so Connecting for the Good basically built wireless networks in underserved areas and gave internet away for free. So in that case here, using that same similar approach, but you'll find that your HOAs that way have a gated community, newer communities, especially new builds. They love this model mainly because it increases the value of the home by $7,000, and they can sell all the different appliances in the data center. But in your existing neighborhoods, the best way to look at it is what is the surrounding businesses, survey it, go door to door before you even put any fiber into the ground. But meanwhile, you've got this great fiber network that's providing connectivity to your businesses who you know will consume it, because right now they got connectivity and they're spending a fortune for something that they can get for a few $100 and they're spending thousands of dollars. And the law enforcement, that's the FirstNet piece, if you're aware of that. That's really a critical anchor to all this because they have to consume this data. And the great news is that you can provide dark fiber unlit assets in what's the word I'm looking for, as a trade. You give me the rights of way, you give me certain tenants that go in the data center, I'll give you that dark fiber asset. So,
Okay.
I've been on VoIP for really 10 years, which requires a lot of bandwidth. Are you going to be able to service the commercial? And the next thing with it is, are you going to be competitive with CenturyLink? And I mean, everybody's going to say, what's the cost? What's it going to cost? I mean, if we can get all these things and we can beat their price, absolutely.
You'll be the plumbing for those companies. A couple of things about that big red network. That's what we call, if you're out of the VoIP industry, it's kind of your long haul fiber routes.
Right.
So when I look at IP transport or transit, meaning when you pay $1,000 a month for a gig or whatever that number, it breaks down to a per meg price. When I buy bandwidth, I'm not even looking at a per meg. If I had to buy per meg, it's usually about in the 20 cents range, but I'm peering networks. So it's all about peering networks, the content to the end user. With that said, Zayo, FiberLight, L3, those are all partners. But when you look at this dark fiber model that we're doing in Salina, our customers, we're not going in, I'm not asking you to go into the ISP business. Rather, we're going to offer a dark fiber, meaning unlit asset in conduit, and we're going to lease it to the carriers. And here's what your value prop is to those carriers. For every dollar you make with my end user, and we'll show them the total market opportunity, you pay me $25 a month, or you pay me $35 per strand per month for 20 years. So the carriers become our customers, the CenturyLinks, the AT&Ts. In fact, 2 weeks ago in Salina, we had our ISP Summit. 16 major carriers showed up, everywhere from Suddenlink to Windstream to CenturyLink to AT&T. They become our customers. So what we have done is built a similar network to they're used to using, and all they have to do is light it up.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all's
We
time.
appreciate your time, and you came a long way. Thank you so much.
Now, the next item will be to discuss engagement of the auditor for the district's audit report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2017. How are you?
All right, in front of you, there should be an all-white copy of the engagement package. I believe for Martin, that's a white copy, so I had to get an extra copy for you. The packages remain the same over the last couple of years. If you turn to page 4, the bottom of page 4 is our fee range. For the actual audit itself, the fee range for 2017 is from 15.5 to 16.5. And for any development zone, which is the next little bulletin underneath that, the range would be from 1,500 to 2,000. Last year, for both of these fees, the total price was, or total cost was $17,500. The development zones, I believe it's for all of them. It's a range, but last year there wasn't very much activity, I don't believe, for, I think there was only one that had some activity. Last year, yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
Yes.
We do have the 1295, thank you. Okay, so we would need a motion to engage McCall Gibson for the audit. Okay, a motion by Director Zepeda and a second by Director Wetz. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, unanimous, thank you. Thank you so much, Elsa. The next item is to review and approve the EMCID sales tax calculations to comply with the agreements with the Emergency Services District 6 and 7.
Yes, sir. If you look, I have a little packet, there should be a packet for you with a red binding strip. Once again, the pages, the first 3 or 4 pages remain exactly the same. They are updated with current year activity. But if we turn to Schedule A, which is, I think, like the second to the last page, we'll look at ESP 7 first. And we're looking at the columns here, and I'll start over from the left here. The sales tax collected, and less the amounts that are adjusted for the sales tax, and the 50% that's due, the amount that was paid by EMCID, which is about $19,417 a month, and the difference between the amount that's owed to the EB7 and what was paid. So if we look at the bottom of the last column, it looks like there is a total of $120,114.83 that's due to EB7. And if you look at, turn the page over to EB6, the same, schedule is exactly the same. The amount that's paid to them is $58,164.33 per month. What's due to them is $1,090,000 roughly around. So the difference is $392,000 that's due to EB6.
Okay. Anybody have any questions regarding that? Okay, if there's no questions, we would need a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Got a motion by Director Martin and a second by Director Hessen. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item is the bookkeeping reports. Ms. Kay. How are you?
You should all have your supplemental bookkeeper report in front of you. There are just a few changes. In your operating accounts, you have a total of $3,146,386.74. The total of all funds on page 3 changed. It's $5,406,813.46. The next 2 pages, well, on page 5, we did have a transfer since the first report of $200,000 to cover the disbursements tonight. Page 6 is your cash flow report for your checking account in your general operating. You have a balance forward of $50,223.98. Receipts of $20,588.89. Disbursements today of $175,454.06, leaving $75,358.81 in the general operating checking. The only changes to the rest of the report would be anything that happened in May, any of the invoices dated May. The rest of the report is the same. So I would answer any questions if you have any on either report. I'm happy to answer those questions.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, if not, we would need to approve the report and the checks. Thank you. A motion by Director Zepeda and a second by Director Hessen. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gay. The next item will be item number 9. We've already done 8. We need to approve an appointment of a member of the architectural committee and take action. So we just need to make a motion to approve something.
Yes. Yeah, what we had previously, Isidore was on our architectural review control committee. Typically, after we will close on a loan, there's architectural standards that we expect for businesses in the industrial park, and that needs to be submitted to our committee for their review. before construction would begin. We just need to replace Isidore on that committee since he's no longer on the board. What's that? And, oh, I'm sorry, and Leon, I'm sorry. So typically it's been the chairman, myself, David, as far as architecture review committee. And if you guys want to add one more board member, that would probably be pretty advisable. We always like to at least have one board member there. So if for some reason Brenda couldn't make it, at least we could have, someone from the board representing on that committee. So again, it'd be Brenda and one other of you guys from the board would want to serve on that, in that capacity. I think that would be an outstanding thing.
And I would actually like to nominate Leonard for that position. Leonard, if you're willing to. Yeah. Okay, if nobody has any other objections.
However,
Can you handle that? Okay. Well, if there's no objections, then I guess we need to have a motion to approve that.
Frank, just for clarification on the appointment of me as legal counsel and Joe as engineer, ex officio non-voting, and so it's Brenda, Frank, and Leonard in the resolution that are here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so there's a motion by Director Hessen and a second by Director Wetz. All in favor? And that's unanimous, well, one abstention. Thank you. Next is announcements. Are there any announcements?
I did want to point out one thing. In your supplement, there's a little thank you note from a young lady that attended the Montgomery County Fair. And as you know, we get a lot more recognition for when we support the kids that attend the East Montgomery County Fair. And sometimes it's overlooked, but we do the same thing as far as providing funding for kids from East Montgomery County that attend Montgomery County Fair for showing their animals. So we pay that commission and as a reimbursement to them. And just want to make you all aware of that. I don't know if you knew or not, but it's good to kind of reiterate that to make you aware of what we're doing there in regards to supporting the kids from our area that show beyond the East Montgomery County Fair. They may go show at the Montgomery County Fair, so those kids are being supported as well. That is Amanda. She wrote us a little thank you note, and that's in your supplement. I think she had, banana bread.
Was it
banana bread? Yeah, I think in her note she just said thank you. My banana bread made herself woo. So she was all excited about that, and just So she sent you guys a note just saying thank you, and just want to make sure you're aware that we're doing that for our kids that go to the Montgomery County Fair as well as the East Montgomery County Fair. So just want to make you aware of that.
I think we should make a motion, especially this, to bring the low up.
Might not be that. Okay, if that's it, if there's not any other announcements, does anybody else have anything to announce? Okay, before recess, I would like to thank you all for attending and invite you to stay. And while we're in executive session, and then we will return. So let me get us out of here for recess. So we will recess to executive session to discuss real property matters pursuant to section 551.072 Texas Government Code, pending or contemplated litigation pursuant to section 551.071 Texas Government Code, matters in which the duty of the attorney to the district under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with Chapter 551 Texas Government Code pursuant to Section 551.071 Texas Government Code, personnel matters pursuant to Section 551.074 Texas Government Code, and economic development negotiations pursuant to Section 551.087 Texas Government Code, and we are in recess at 6:59. Okay, yeah, we are back in session at 10:04. The next item on our agenda is the development of the district's 12.85 acre site updates.
Are you ready, Joe? You were getting up, I thought you were excited. Okay. Once again, on our site here, as far as taking a look at moving to an alternative site in the future, one of the things that we discussed was if indeed we're looking at Northern Valley Ranch, it'd be good to get a determination of property value, called a range of value for the site that we're looking at, as opposed to a full-blown appraisal. we'd just like approval to go ahead and get that done and get a range of value of the site that we're looking to move into.
Okay, so we would need a motion to approve that range of value.
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Director West, a second by Director Cepeda. Any discussion?
What number is that item, Becky?
Number 12.
13.
Yeah, I think he said.
Number 13.
I'm sorry, we were on 12, but that's still part of it.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I talked about 13, but it's related to number 12, so once again, it's number 12 and 13 coming in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on that? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay, any other updates?
That's it on as far as the facility and
12 and 13?
building, yes.
Okay, so we'll move on to item 14, report on activities in the industrial park, and that's you, Mr. Joe. So you can have all your A through H, and then I believe it's P.
Yeah, P, 15, 16.
Yes.
Okay. I think y'all got a report in front of you.
What was it?
First item is status of sale of dirt. You sold about another 700 yards. They got final tally. E-controls needed a lot more dirt, so sold it to them, and I'll have that tally in probably within a week or so. It'll be done. The next item is status of contract with Texan Dirt LLC. So the second phase of the detention. They're still on schedule. They started filling in that long skinny track that Command Energy was going to buy. Instead of stacking it on the drill site, you have to move it twice. Discussed it with Frank. It just made more sense. So they're less than 30 days from finishing out there. And they've done a really good job. They submitted pay application number 1 for $216,684. Withholding $24,076 in retainage, and we recommend that you pay it.
Okay, so we need a motion on that item to pay that, make that payment.
So moved.
Motion by Director Martin and a second by Director Carlisle. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Okay, the second item for C is status of the roads, quad vets. They finished the paving part. We did have the county out to look at the roads to make sure that they're meet their standards, and which they did. He said they look fine to them. They do have some cleanup to do, and regrading some ditches, and working on the shoulders. They're not quite finished, but they're almost finished out there. And the roads turned out okay. I rode, you can ride pretty fast down the one long road, the Drexel. And they submitted a pay application number 3 in the amount of $228,4458, and you're still holding 866 or 666.43.
What was the, yeah, 22844?
Yeah.
220844.
$220,844.58.
So we're recommending that you pay application number 3.
Okay, so we need a motion to pay that application. Motion by Director West and a second by Director Cepeda. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Joe, I don't know if you've been out there. I was out there the other day, and at the end of that cul-de-sac, it looked like an 18-wheeler went through there and broke the rear wheels. Y'all seen
That was Entergy.
Yeah, it looked like it messed up there.
We'll never get that fixed from Entergy. When they came, we'll talk about the lift station, they came and finally brought power to the lift station, and they drove right off of there.
I mean, it looked like that probably just been put down, and it was fresh when they did that.
Yeah, if you look out the middle of the cul-de-sac, there's a little wavering, and that's where they turn the trucks around.
Okay.
Energy, we have not had good luck with them.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, all in favor of approving the payment? Unanimous, thank you.
Okay, the next item is D, the status of the contract with Clearwater, Water and Sanitary for Section 4. They've gone about as far as they can until we get the dirt project done. The dirt haulers are in their way, and I don't want, they've got to put in a boring underneath the ditch. And if they try to bore now, it'd be too dangerous. And so as soon as the dirt finishes, they'll finish up. They did do some work on the lift station, so they sent a pay application for 6, 5 and you're still owing $22,082.53. And they're recommending pay application number 3.
Okay, so we have a motion to pay that payment. Got a motion by Director Rogers, second by Director Zepeda. Any discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous, thank you.
Okay, item E is the status of the contract with Angel Brothers for the pavement. And it's Section 4, and what it is, it's that long cul-de-sac up north that serves that land. Also, it extends the road by the ditch to the new detention pond, it stops there. It actually dead end there. And Nichols Way that goes by General Ballistics. But we had to pull them off of that because of the dirt hauling. Dirt hauling's just, taking, we just don't want them on there, putting it on there right now. The pay application they submitted is for the drainage they put in front of General Ballistics to the ditch, and they finished that. So they're asking for $113,542.20, and you're withholding $12,615.80 in retainage. We're going to recommend that you pay that pay application.
Okay.
As soon as this dirt project's done, we'll get everybody out there, because these guys can work side by side and finish everything off.
Okay, good. Okay, so we would need a motion to approve that payment. Okay, motion by Director Carlisle, second by Director Zepeda. Any discussion? All in favor? And it's unanimous, thank you.
Okay, the next one is status of the plant. We finished the plant like I told you, but we had to didn't get it recorded because I think Frank's going to talk about a landfill. So we had to move the cul-de-sac back to accommodate the size they needed. So I don't want to record it showing that cul-de-sac up there, because you'd have to replat to do it, so we'll just hold off. It's not hurting anything right now. The next item is the status of the contract with Quadvest for the wastewater lift station. Everything is there. Finally got power, but Energy hadn't put in the meter can yet. As soon as they put the meter can and tie it into the masthead that comes down, and we're ready to start up.
Any idea, have they given you any indications to when they'll do it? Just whenever they get ready. Okay.
What happens when you give somebody a monopoly?
Yes, so, yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you.
I used to think HLB, what's their point with that? You didn't have any pay application on that. Item H is the status of the contract with ENS for the warehouse building project. And they're moving along. They're starting to do the site work. Got it pretty much lined out, start pouring. We did have a change order, and it's a change that I think I discussed with you. We took the air conditioning out in the bank, took out the bunkers inside the building, took out some bunkers outside, so it resulted in a $50,228 decrease in the cost of the building. We won't show you that change. I'll keep you up on what the changes are if they come up. But usually at the end of the contract, we'll just do a one-time change, go through and reconcile everything.
Okay.
But right now, you've got $50,000 in savings. They submitted pay application number 7 in the amount of $38,641.70, and you're still withholding $40,744.95. Recommend that you pay
Did you say 38,000 or 36,000?
36.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard right. Thank you. Okay, so we,
I can read that.
yeah, it is 36 is what I'm saying.
I made that motion.
Okay, we've got a motion by Director Martin, a second by Director Hessen. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
You want me to skip down?
Sure, just go on down to P.
Okay, it's the conveyance of the utilities for the wastewater distribution and water collection for section 3. Documents aren't ready, so we're gonna ask you to defer it this month. I think David's gonna defer it next month.
Okay. And you want to go ahead and do 15 and 16?
Sure. The splash pad is Glendora. I think it's getting well used, what I can see. We did do a sign, and I've got kind of a picture of the sign. It's the last page, or the second to the last page for Glendora. Sign's not up. It will be up before the end of the week. The weather's okay. I think they found a spot to put it.
Okay.
And 16, we've had a few minor issues out there. Some of the caulkings came up, they're well aware of it. And I talked to the city, and I've shut it down, put it in. There was a valve that was leaking. I think they're working on it. Got it quit leaking. Everything else is running good. And I know this will be used. I've been out there several times. Been a lot of people. They get their sign up, it's on the side of the building. And that's where, I talked to the city, and they said that'd be fine. So it's real visible from all the sidewalk.
I got to be a whole lot.
Sorry?
I said I got to be a whole lot.
So anyway, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. Okay, Frank, you're next.
Dale's in the zone, I can't help it, he is in a zone. I think item I, and on down, I believe it's where we were. Woodland Fluid Power, once again, the contract is with them. They have their project ready to close, other than getting approval from our architectural review committee. And they're submitting some changes to the exterior of the building for our architectural review committee to go through and approve. And then once they have those approvals, then we'll get them closed and then funded to start construction. Metal Specialties, once again, we reviewed their project previously. We need to go back through. We have their $12.95 in hand, so now need to have the board take action on their project for Metal Specialties, and the contract is with them now, and then they should get that into the title company. David's talked with their attorney, just some minor changes, nothing significant, but we do need to go ahead and approve them for closing now that we've received their $12.95.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve that contract.
Motion.
I got a motion by Director Carlisle. Second by Director Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
The next agreement with Nutrients, once again, we don't have a $12.95 from them, being a Canadian company, so we can't take action on them tonight, but I will get an incentive agreement out to them and then bring them back to the board once we have a $12.95 for action for their expansion to our area from their Canada facility. Okay.
In discussion, did we need a motion for the incentive agreement, even though the contract is not?
No, not.
Okay, we don't need.
Without $12.95, we can't take action.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And item L, the same with them. We've gone through their project. They have their contract from us, and we're just waiting. He's got it. He was 100 miles away when I called him today, and it's at the house. So in any event, it'll be here for you at the next board meeting to approve for Crow Energy Products. So we'll have them on the agenda for next month for final approval.
Okay.
Item M, this is Hometown Shift Catering. We've approved them, contracts with the title company. We're closing on them tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. So hopefully soon we'll have an industrial kitchen, commercial kitchen at the industrial park, and they'll be out doing their catering stuff and cooking cool food, so, and hot food. So that's where we are with them. Should be closing them in the morning. Item N, once again, we're going through the incentive agreement process with them. No 1295, again, as with their Canadian company. And once we get that document, then it would be something for y'all to take action on. So no action on item N. Item O, again, no 1295 for Andrews Fabrication. We're not ready to do anything with them yet until you guys take action. And I think that's all we had. We had one other project to talk about. We do want to initiate an incentive letter with, I need to look at our 1295 here to get the correct name. Ferrara, the fire prevention company. You know, they sent us, so just so you have the right name, it's called Gulf Coast Apparatus Service. So we did get a 1295 from them, and they're the business that's looking at locating to the industrial park, and we just want authorization to send out a proposed incentive letter to them, and then we'll finalize an agreement back with you guys at the next board meeting.
Okay, so we need a motion. I got a motion by Director Martin, second by Director Carlisle. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
It's a good company, they'll do.
Yeah, it's going to be a great asset to our industrial park. The next item is the adoption of the budget for the fiscal year 2018. We had a meeting on that last night. Did you want to?
Yes, we'll kind of go through it with you real quick.
Okay.
If y'all have any questions. We had a workshop with most of you last night. The budget in regards to what for total revenue for next year is $10,755,000 in total revenue. And obviously we have some incentive agreements with Valley Range and others that reduces that. For total revenue for the year, total income of $10,495,000. And we reviewed most of our income and expenses last night with the suggested changes in regards to the scholarship program, increasing our scholarship program funding to $705,000. That was incorporated in that change. And then additionally, we did leave some funds, around $1 million for additional industrial park land purchase in the future for expanding the industrial park as we have more projects looking about moving here and creating some more jobs. Some of the expenses on the expense side, we talked about some items as far as needing another server for the district in our computers line. Also in telephone, we need a telephone system. If we're away for some reason, we can't even call in and get to our voicemail, so we need to implement a new telephone system. We have a few other expenses related to the building, which is identified in the building expense. And then finally, some other items in regards to the industrial park. Industrial park security, you might notice when you're driving around the industrial park, some of the cameras that are out there and capturing some of the images of folks that are going through there just from a security perspective. We've included that line item for the industrial park. So with that, the budget you have in front of you is laid out, and with what you've got, we've also included with the funding available, we have $200,000 that also has been allocated for savings in the event we have any missteps in the budget and expenses, or if not, then that savings would go into building our capital fund. So that's what you have in front of you and presented for approval.
We also increased the community grant program by $100,000.
Correct. And we have more funding available for community grants. That's for the direct application program, $350,000 is set aside for community grants.
And we have an additional $500,000 set aside for an additional community development project.
That is correct. A large project. For us to look at and vet and kind of go through that process once we have some ideas back.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the budget.
Okay. I've got a motion by Director Carlisle to approve and a second by Director Martin. Is there any discussion on the budget?
I know we're all about kids, but I just want to say, as the educator on the board, I really appreciate you guys stepping up to the plate. And a 55% increase in the scholarship fund was amazing. And like I said, I know we're all about kids, so I'm not surprised, but that's really a slam dunk. I appreciate that you guys walk the walk and talk the talk.
Hopefully, some more of the students will take advantage of those scholarships and further their education. Okay, if there's no further discussion, did you have something? Okay, all in favor of approving the budget? Unanimous, thank you. Next item is the updates out of the 85th Texas legislation.
Nothing to report on that right now.
Okay. Request for Records Management Office to destroy the notes of the Board of Directors meetings from April 4th, 2016 to January 12th, 2017.
That's annually I come to you and ask you to shred these yellow pages so we don't have to store.
Which we have already converted into minutes, and that have been approved and signed.
Yeah, those are all stored.
Oh, that's just a housekeeping.
Yeah, that's just a housekeeping.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Director Carlisle, a second by Director Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. The next item is the approval of the amendments to Mr. McCrady's employment contract and the execution thereof. David, did you want to address that? Do we just approve it?
Just make a motion, the two changes I think you wanted to do were the term.
Extended for 1 year?
I'll make that motion. We make the motion that we extend this contract by a year and the deferred incentive of $15,000.
Okay, got a motion by Director Carlisle. And a second by Director Rogers. Any other discussion? Just publicly, I would like to thank you for your hard work. You've done an outstanding job. We have a lot of good things in the last 12 months that have happened in our district. A lot of things to be proud of, and keep up the good work.
Well, I appreciate it, and again, it's exciting to work in an environment like this. It's very pro-growth, and you guys, I think, have a great vision for where we're going in the future, and it's a joy to work for you, and I appreciate the perspective that we want more stuff to come and create some more jobs and provide more shopping opportunities and industrial development, and all that fits together with where our community is growing in the future, and I appreciate the time. Thank you all so much for the time that you spent.
There's no further discussion. All in favor of approving the contract? It's unanimous. Thank you. Next item is discussion on plans for future festivals.
And right now, just to kind of give you an idea, we're still we're scheduled for October the 21st for Fire and Ice Festival. Going through that process and getting it all laid out, looking at some talent options. Again, I think theming wise, we're looking at some country talent to come in. It will be a free event for our community. And the Fire and Ice Festival, obviously, we have to have a little bit of fire, and we got to have a little bit of ice. And so that doesn't mean, Martin, any ice skating or anything, okay? It doesn't mean any of that kind of activity, but it should be a fun event. We're looking at holding it again over at Texan Drive Stadium in the parking lot area out there like we did last time. And it should be a good opportunity to showcase our community and at the same time provide some interesting entertainment for folks that live in the district. So free event should be a lot of fun.
The next item is discussion on the physical. I'm sorry, yes.
Yesterday I got a text from those Kings One that we had at the last Fire and Ice.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So the Hispanic version of it, Hispanic part of it is going to be out.
You guys tell me if you want them back, that'll be an option to look at. So
I think we gotta keep it one. Don't mix it, because then you got people that want to stay for an hour and leave. I think it should be all sitting there. Like Southern Rock and Country is kind of the same.
That's Zydeco Band was a huge response to that, and to the King One.
They were great.
Yeah.
okay, we'll look at talking to them, and if just get us their contact information, and we'll get talking to them. And
They performed for us last year.
yeah, so
They bring people.
Are we gonna have like a planning workshop or something on this? Maybe, it's getting kind of close to that, so if we did, it would have to be pretty quick.
We're doing planning behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've already established, you know, what we're doing, and the same as what we did last time, and a little bit more. So
it's still gonna be a mix type music?
I think you can't really limit it to one.
I think it's a mistake.
Well, our community is so diverse.
Yeah,
Our community is so diverse, so.
Unless we have multiple stages going on at the same time, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Okay. We'll work through it and give you some options, okay? Sounds very good.
I'm just saying that.
Okay, well, I think Kelly may have it,
I know the guy from my school.
Okay.
so we'll get them engaged this week and see what they would like to do and incorporate that into the planning, so.
Okay,
Sounds
we'll
good.
have that discussion again. Next item is discussion, the raising of the scholarship amounts.
One of the things that you guys had talked about and certainly wanted to come back and revisit on again was increasing our scholarship amount from $1,000 to $1,200 to $1,500, somewhere in that range. And I think that probably our scholarship foundation will meet between now and our next board meeting. But I think overall with our workshop and going through the budget yesterday, there was clearly an intent of raising our scholarship amount to a higher dollar amount. And I think by our July board meeting, we should be ready to do that, looking at the projections of growth and then additional the needs that the kids may have, and getting more in line with paying for a whole semester like we did when the program started, and incorporating that into the new dollar amount that would allow kids to be able to pay for a whole, I didn't mean a whole semester, a whole year. So that dollar amount would then allow them to get through at least 1 year, 1 full year. So once again, I think we'll be ready for that to come to you guys at the July meeting, and hopefully you'll be ready to act on that and expand our program out to be able to provide some other outreach to students.
Is that the decision of the Education Foundation or
Correct. It would be a decision from the Scholarship Foundation, but once again, I think it's good for us to concur with their decision. You know, they're the ones that write the checks. However, we do fund the Scholarship Foundation. So I mean, we're all together. And again, you guys are on that board, so it's you, but at the same time, we need to let that entity, you know, take the lead on it, and then we support that.
And Frank's just being really nice. I will just tell you that we would have brought you a recommendation tonight to increase it to 1,500 if I could have been there. But I could not make that meeting because I had a commitment in Houston today. And I don't want to speak for that committee, but as we talked about yesterday, if you were here, in 10 years, the Lone Star tuition has increased 51%. So if we increase it to $500, technically, we haven't even kept up with inflation. So rest assured, next month, we will at least be coming back with that recommendation, I think, to be at 1,500. Because we're at the point now where I don't even think that scholarship is relevant because it doesn't pay for enough to matter. And we did a great job 10 minutes ago with increasing the endowment piece. I think we can afford the extra 500. So I apologize for not having that for you guys tonight. I feel 100% responsible for that.
Okay. And if there's nothing else, we'll move on to the next item, which is matters for placement on future agendas. Does anybody have anything they would like placed on future agendas?
Just the engagement of somebody to go through the goal setting process with the organization and the request for proposal. Can you talk about that?
Once again, on the board training, I'll take care of that. That shouldn't be an agenda item you guys need to act on. I'll take care of that piece of it. And on the other aspect, if you guys would want to go through that process now, or if you want to look at it the next month or two, that's totally up to you how you like to approach it.
What are you talking about?
The RF,
Oh.
no, the evaluation, the board, that's going to be the board training where we will engage someone to help us to design it. The other's on the request for proposals. for regarding the maintenance of the building. So we want to make that an agenda item, perhaps?
We can stick it on the next agenda.
I'll write it down. Well, it's
All right, is that the law?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter.
I just want to bring it up so it gets done.
Just bring it up.
Sometimes when we say let's do it the next month or two, something else comes up and
Yeah, I
it's
think
not
we
always.
need going with it, well, Fred.
Yeah, me too. Joe, we got a project for you.
We got a project for you.
Sure, I'll find out about it.
All right.
So I think mainly, you know, in discussion at the budget meeting yesterday, you guys wanted to look at someone from the outside to come in and provide the lawn service. Is that correct?
Get some bids on it, please.
Okay, so you want to get some bids. So, Joe, can you put us a RFP together that we can go out for bid on lawn care?
Yeah. Maybe we could do it, with three,
Okay,
do the same thing.
all right. So you can get that all together and be ready to present it to the board at the next board meeting, and then they can act on it, correct? For an RFP to go out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
I mean, you gotta advertise twice.
Understand. Well, get the RFP put together first with the parameters and everything, and then let them approve the RFP, and then they should release Joe, and then he goes and does it. So that would be how you want to approach it.
We'll advertise twice in the local paper.
Okay.
And, follow along.
All right. So if you get the RFP all put together, we can look at it at the next board meeting, and then we say go.
Sure.
Right? Okay.
We're doing it for just the lawn service or for the building maintenance contract?
You know, we also want you to put together one for the building maintenance contract, just to keep everybody honest.
Yeah. One for both.
Yeah, you're actually talking two different bids.
Yes,
Right, yeah.
two different bids.
Probably one from the current company and two additional ones.
Yeah. Or
Now,
however.
that confused me. What did you just
What did you
say?
say?
Yeah.
One from the current company.
One from the current company.
Bid
What do
from
you
the
mean?
current company.
We don't want bids, we just want a question.
You want an RFP.
Okay, okay. Gotcha, which is what requested is.
Yeah, well, the next level will be bid.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Board after that.
Okay, I'm working ahead, I guess.
Take a field.
Yeah, no, not yet.
Coming on, boy.
If there's nothing else, then we will adjourn. 10:38.
Thanks, guys.